Howdy, ball! Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. And today on the Hermitcraft server, as you can see, we have collected some wheat and fed it to some lambs until they got completely out of hand. You know why? We need gingerbread. And there are no true gingerbread blocks in Minecraft. So instead, I feel like these brown wool blocks here. You know what? Hold on. Can I actually? Yeah, look at that. I'm third person shearing. This is really hard to do. We will probably literally never do this again the entire time I'm on the server because, wow, that is a precision cut. And I don't love it. Anyway, I figured out that we need approximately 18 stacks of gingerbread or brown wool to do gingerbread roof and gingerbread walls for a candy Parthenon. Then I did the math and realized we need another 10 stacks for the gingerbread floor. And let me tell you, we are in for quite the building blowout today. It is going to be a blitz of building. We have peppermint sticks that we can use for the different pillars. Fun fact, the Parthenon has like 34 big pillars and then another 12 small pillars. So we're going to use peppermint sticks for those, using some of the candy cane experimentation we did in our previous episode. And I think we're going to use quartz for the piping. I think that'll really work pretty well. But you know what? We don't need all these sheep anymore. We have enough gingerbread to be on our way. And so we will say, that's Cleo's problem for another day. Time skip. Wool, wool, wool. What do we have here? It's the site of a future candy Parthenon. We're going to gingerbread up the floor, the walls, and the roof. We are going to have the candy cane pillars here. As you can see, we are doing this Parthenon at a 1/2 scale. A 1-to-1 scale Parthenon would have 2x2 meter pillars along the front and sides, with 1 meter pillars slightly recessed in. This one, we're going to do half. A normal Parthenon, you would have like 10.5 meter pillars. We're going to go with 5 meter pillars. And, you know, luckily, I've already got some of the materials, like I mentioned here from earlier. I'm going to use the quartz's piping for the corners of the gingerbread, but I think I'm going to use snow for the peppermint sticks, because we are already doing that over there, and it looks good. So, I mean, who am I to mess with perfection? So, just to give you a sense of how that's going to, like, lay out here, we have already done these 8. I probably should have started in one of the corners and worked my way the other way around. But you know what? That's fine. Not everything needs to be done perfectly. Sometimes it just needs to be done. Now, the thing about these pillars is if I fall off them while I'm working on them, that's more of a problem out this way because there's no ground here. We actually want to roll in and start putting in our gingerbread ground all around. I thought about doing brown terracotta for this, but it was too dark. It looked too chocolatey. And so I think that this is going to really sell gingerbread just a little bit better. And then when we fall off of these, we'll be able to just hop back on, courtesy of the floor that we've done before. You know, I fell this way before onto the floor. I'm snowy pillarin', Joe Hills on candy canes. What am I doing? Let's start over again, Joe. As y'all can see, we have all of the exterior pillars around the Parthenon in. We've got the thick candy canes on the outside. We've got thin peppermint stripes on the inside. These are thinner than I would like them to be proportionally, but I think they will end up working out on the whole. I've got some snow here I was going to use to just kind of gently patch around and just kind of ease into this so that it doesn't look entirely like it is just hanging out, floating. You know, if you're going to have a good gingerbread, You want it to feel like it's got some sort of tray underneath it, and it isn't just going to completely fall at random. Now, in the 1-to-1 scale model, we would have a elevation raise here. That would be a full meter. That half meter isn't going to work slab-wise. And then we would have another elevation jump by 1 meter when we actually get to the interior of the build. Now, that would start 8 meters away from these front pillars in a 1-to-1 model, but we're going to go 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to get to here. And this would have come in 4 meters, so that means we're going to do 2 meters here. So what we actually need to do now, I'm realizing, is build an entire additional layer here of gingerbread. And I'm also realizing maybe I didn't gather enough wool for that. Although I gathered so much wool. And from a building standpoint, it feels like it's stronger if we actually double layer this. If we don't just like go rip up the stuff underneath. I did that too close. Dang it. It also helps if we actually follow the guide. Dang it. Now this is triple deep. Yay. Okay, so the other thing is the 1st and 6th pillar of these inner pillars are actually outside of the rectangle that makes up the inner structure here. So when we work on this layer for the inner structure, we're going to want to go ahead and make sure that we're excluding those. And we need to be 1 block further back. That's not it. There we go. So 4 away, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then the 5th block should be there. And we are just going to fill this in and then start working on the walls and our internal pillars. You know, I spent a lot of time thinking about how to build this, and it feels like it's coming together pretty quickly, which can be deceptive because I spent like 4 or 5 hours going through notes about previous Parthenon constructions. And those I spent like days on. So it's like, yeah, the more you train to do something, the better you are at it. Even 2 years later or a year later, it turns out. So anyway, here we go. Time skip. Here we go. Look at this. We got the roof on, and I am feeling pretty good about the build on the whole. A few things that I don't like is when you're looking at it from over here, like you can see that these pillars all kind of run together. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce an offset to the pillars to make them feel like they're more diagonally striped or not all aligned the same way. Also, inside of the real Parthenon, there are 2 chambers. Now, this front chamber here would have 9 pillars, and then 2 here, and then another 9 along this wall. And then the back chamber would have 4 pillars. And I tried placing torches where those pillars would go, roughly, and I realized that is not going to work for us. So in order to structurally make this happen, what I think we are going to have to do is do the 4 pillars from this room are going to go in here, roughly. And then we're going to have another wall with, this wall actually has 2 doors in it. And they're going to line up with the pillars kind of weird, sadly. We might have to mess with that. But we'll have the divider here. And then as you can see, we had to cull out 2 rows of pillars inside of there. So what we would do then is actually just move those up here. It's not perfect, but it should be roughly functional. I'm going to go ahead and get that laid in, and we'll see how it turned out. Time skip. Since we last saw our Parthenon, some snow has fallen upon its roof, but the truth is, on the whole, I think it looks well. It looks good, it looks great, but the peppermint sticks are not ideal. There is just a little bit too much kind of repetition to those pillars. So I've been thinking about this, and considering some of the other peppermint sticks in the area, and I realized what I wanted to do was to create kind of a sense of a spiral that kind of continues over time. I started workshopping this here. In the very least, this doesn't look as uniform. You know what? Maybe it doesn't sell peppermint as well. But I think when we get 17 of these together, it will still work. Also, in other news, not only did CubFan create this little, I don't know, Apollo landing thing. What would you even call that? Splashdown module? But someone else started building this whole little holiday lodge here. Don't know who worked on it yet, but it is looking good. So keep an eye out for other Hermit's videos for a cool holiday build there. Look for screenshots or thumbnails or whatever. Just watch everybody. Watch everybody. It'll be great. Anyway, core concept. I want to start pulling these pillars, or pilling these pullers. No, that's not right. Until we get these looking good in the neighborhood. Time skip. Well, folks, as you can see from up here on Zedolf the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I have taken it upon myself to fix the peppermints in play there, and I think that this is a good look for us. It really makes the whole build feel more three-dimensional, like in the distance especially. Let's say somebody's flying out here from over by Ethos Base. That doesn't look like just a uniform wall. Those pillars really stand alone individually. You know, they stand tall and proudly proclaim, I am. And what better can a pillar do? You know, pillars inside the Parthenon, done the same. Feeling pretty good about those. These four I kind of left as is. I don't know. You know, I've been brainstorming. Maybe we should have a statue inside the Parthenon to replace the statue of Athena, but I'm not sure maybe what that should be. So feel free to leave your suggestion for that in the YouTube comments section below. With all the pillars in place, the last piece that I talked about was getting that piping in for around where the bits of gingerbread meet. You know, in a traditional gingerbread construction, you would have to use frosting to kind of join the gingerbread walls. And that actually works really neatly here with how the actual Parthenon would ascend a little bit. And so we can just kind of run along here. And what I wanted to do was mix in some smooth quartz stairs with some normal quartz stairs every so often, just to kind of give it a like slightly less than uniform feel. Because like frosting, even if you try to do it perfectly, it's not going to work out perfectly. So we got a few bumps in the frosting, but not anything that's like regular. Just kind of showing. There we go. And I think that will also kind of help us have a nice kind of feel from our long distance view of this. Like, I'm obviously going to try and get this in place before we fly away and take a look at it. But I think, on the whole, this will be an improvement. So we're going to just kind of keep throwing these in along here like so. Boom. And perfect. I'm thinking we should probably also do the frosting along up here. But let's see how this looks already. We've got our snowman looking great, too, over there, Jev. Great job. Yeah, this definitely helps. I like that a lot. I think that adds something. It being a different color than the peppermint sticks also works well, I think. And I was thinking about frosting along the roof, too. Just to kind of give a sense of how this all kind of would fit together. But I haven't worked out exactly. Should I do the outsides entirely? No. Part of me thinks if you were doing this for real, you would probably have had like 2 long pieces of gingerbread that were diagonally tilted here. But the way we've constructed it, it looks more like 2 things are layered on top of each other. And I'm not sure how much it looks like this needs to really be glazed in order to hold up. Whereas like holding these walls in place here, you would absolutely need to have the frosting. I'm thinking of doing a similar frosting layer around the outside underneath here, or maybe can't really do it on the inside too well. Further, there is the element of how do we hold these in place? Are these also going to be frosted, you know? Like, should this... Whoops, that's not right. Should this be glazed like... Whoops. Yeah, okay. Every part of this is obviously, you know, not going well. But the core concept of it, the idea that the walls would have some frosting holding them together, I think is going to reinforce this on the whole as a candy element. Dang it, torches. Okay. I am liking this. I was on the fence about it, but, like, once again, this is not supposed to be a real Parthenon. This is supposed to be a candy Parthenon. So, yeah, let's start dropping more of these in here. You might say, Joe, it seems like you're running a little low on these stairs. Well, one thing that's good to do is you can always make more quartz blocks into smooth quartz blocks with a sub-oceanic furnace. So I started working on that there, and I put a little grindstone here so we can turn some of these blocks of quartz into smooth quartz stairs. I was holding some of these in reserve to make slabs in case we ended up slabbing the roof, and I'm thinking maybe we should. Maybe we should slab the roof. Now, this roof is 35 blocks long, so if we grabbed... Wow, that grindstone is loud. A bunch of smooth quartz stair slabs, some other ones here. Okay. Dang it, why are these not stacking with either of them? There we go. And then we could put the... Uh-oh. Sun's getting real low. Let's take a quick nap. Okay. So, here's what I'm thinking is we should go ahead and maybe we make the edge of the Parthenon here. We connect this with some smooth slabs there. We're going to mix in just a few random non-smooth ones just for a little bit of texture. It's not that much of a visual difference, but it does just break it up a little bit. Just a little. Okay, so then we get to here, and we swap in this. And then, you know, I was kind of thinking of having like a dollop of frosting on each of these edges here. That would give us a nice little flare on either side. There we go. That feels a little bit more Parthenonical. And so then while the rest of that cooks, we can just start going around the bottom here. Ooh, I'm realizing I have a lot more of the non-smooth quartz than I thought I did. So let's maybe start smattering those in more frequently. Up here, it's not going to be as obtrusive if there's a few of them in a row. There we go. And we can run back to our grindstone here and, you know, get back to the old grind. Boom. 23 more of these. That's plenty. I'm really thrilled with how this is coming together. This is definitely feeling like a holiday build to me, you know? And it's hard sometimes to put your finger on it. What makes something a holiday build instead of just a normal build. And I think part of it is that there's a little bit of extra whimsy to it. You know, actually, that really... it's such a weird block palette altogether. This is not the sort of thing I would normally build, but that's the extra whimsy there. That's just a little bit of extra fun, you know? Let's go back down here. I was holding my breath. I don't know if you caught that. I thought it was clever, but I'm realizing it was maybe not so clever because you couldn't see it. So there we go. We're going to just go ahead here. Smooth quartz blocks. Get some extra smooth quartz stairs. Then we're going to just swing around here. And swing around there. Boom. You know, a little bit of extra color would really bring home the candy feel to this. But I'm not sure what blocks would be best. You know, actually, maybe I should put these like that. Yeah. And then I've only got 7 left. So I think that I could come along in here and do... Whoops. Because this is not super wide. 1, 2, 3. Dang it. Boom. Exactly the right number of blocks. Terrible application of those blocks. But, yeah, so then we've got that holding it together structurally. Yeah, if this is... I think the biggest thing that we're missing here is if you were going to add some gumdrops somehow, that would work in like a traditional gingerbread house build. But there's not a lot of things that are big enough to really justify it. So, having taken some time to think about what we could do to make this candy Parthenon just a little bit more candier, I decided what I wanted to do was to get some scaffolding and maybe put up some kind of like, I don't know, little candies alongside here. And I was thinking, you know, maybe if I had them kind of spaced out somehow like this or something, that could be... Whoops, that's not it. These are like micro block heads or something that we got from Wandering Traders. And just adding a little bit of extra non-white and red color, I think will, dang it, do wonders for the build on the whole. Did we lose another one of those down here somewhere? It's fine. You can tell because some of them are renamed player head. Those are the ones that we dropped. And since they're not going to stack no matter what we do ever again anyway, we might as well just throw those up here. And let's see how that looks. I'm also not sure what the render distance is on the player heads. Okay, so the render distance is not this far out, but as somebody approaches, they will pop in. Yeah, those look festive. We can just pop on the back. I don't have a second green concrete one, unfortunately. So we're going to just roll in here, and on the backside, we'll have a honey block in the middle. You know, it's not as festive, but whatever. It's fine. You know, we're just trying to spread a little bit of holiday cheer with a few gumdrops or what have you here and there. I mean, I think this reads as a gumdrop relatively well. So, there we go. We got some little honey candies. We got some gumdrops. I think this should be good. Okay. Let's wander back this way and give it a quick look. Yeah. I think that feels candier. It communicates what we want to sell, which is a joyful, sweet experience reminiscent of a visit to Nashville. Excellent. Anyway, one thing that I ran into while I was looking through my notes about Parthenon build schematics and like size and scale and proportions and all that was I found a poem I wrote about Puget Sound a long time ago, and I called it Sound Advice. I don't think that I ever actually got this one on the air, so here we go. I forgot to mention that I'm reading this poem in lieu of a mid-roll ad thanks to $50 a month Patreon sponsor Joy. So thank you very much, Joy, for bringing a little bit of extra time to all the folks watching. Here we go. Sound Advice. I fear the tremors kept at bay, even more once the shaking stops. The bay roars out, the bay roars in. Run for the nearest hilltops. For if you awestruck walk the shores to take selfies, sea bottom exposed, the bay roars out, the bay roars in. Crushed by depths is the death you chose. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.